Finding strength and purpose when life's challenges pick you for the fight. I want you to pause and imagine this: a storm rages outside. Wind howls. Rain lashes against the windows. And you're standing alone. Trembling. Unsure if the walls around you will hold. Inside, it's just as turbulent, a storm of doubt, fear, and questions about why you're facing such battles. It's a familiar scene, isn't it? Life's challenges often feel like that storm. Relentless and isolating. But here's the remarkable thing about storms: they don't come to stay. They come to pass. And within each storm lies a lesson waiting to be discovered. A strength waiting to be uncovered. And a purpose waiting to emerge. Let me tell you a story. There was once a man, broken and battered, who asked, "Why me? Why does life choose me for this fight?" He wasn't anyone extraordinary, just someone who had reached the end of his strength. But he did something remarkable. He opened a book, the Bible, and read a single line that changed his life: "My grace is sufficient for you. For my power is made perfect in weakness." Those words pierced his heart. Could it be that in his weakness, he wasn't abandoned but chosen? That his challenges weren't punishments but a path to purpose? You see, the first step in finding strength when life picks you for the fight is realizing this truth: you were chosen, not forsaken. Challenges aren't just obstacles, they are divine invitations to grow into the person you were created to be. But how do we find strength when we feel like we have none? How do we take the next step when even standing feels impossible? Let's turn to the story of Christ in the Garden of Gethsemane. In his darkest hour, knowing the betrayal and suffering ahead, he prayed. Not once, but 3 times. "Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me. Yet not as I will, but as you will." Think about that for a moment. Even Jesus, the Son of God, faced moments of agony and doubt. But in that moment, he also demonstrated the key to strength: surrender. Now, I want to ask you, when was the last time you surrendered, not in defeat, but in trust? What if the strength you're searching for isn't found in fighting harder but in letting go? In saying, "I don't have all the answers, but I trust the one who does." Here's a practical step for you: the next time you feel overwhelmed, pause and breathe. Close your eyes and say, "I am not alone in this fight." Feel the truth of those words. Finding strength starts with acknowledging your limitations and leaning into a greater power. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. Because when you are weak, then you are strong, not through your own efforts, but through the grace that sustains you. This is the paradox of faith. In surrender, you find victory. In letting go, you rise. The hidden power within, unearthing purpose in life's battles. When we're thrust into life's battles, it's easy to ask, "Why is this happening to me?" But perhaps the more transformative question is, "What is this teaching me?" Think of a piece of raw iron. In its natural state, it's unremarkable. But when it's placed into the fire, hammered, and shaped, it becomes a sword. The fire doesn't destroy it, it refines it. And so it is with you. Every challenge you face is an opportunity for refinement. It's not about becoming someone different, it's about uncovering the strength and purpose that have always been within you. Let's take a moment to reflect on Joseph's story from the Bible. Betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, and wrongfully imprisoned, Joseph's life seemed to spiral from bad to worse. Yet, through it all, he held on to his faith. And in the end, he rose to a position of power. saving countless lives during a famine. Joseph's words to his brothers are unforgettable: "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." What if your challenges, the very ones that feel so heavy, are shaping you for a purpose you can't yet see? What if the betrayal, the setback, or the loss isn't the end of your story but the beginning of something far greater? Here's where we get practical. To find purpose in life's battles, you must first silence the noise. The world is loud, and it loves to tell you who you are and what you can't do. But the truth isn't found in the noise, it's found in the stillness. Take 5 minutes every day to sit in silence. No phone, no distractions, just you and your thoughts. Ask yourself, what is this moment teaching me? What strength am I uncovering? And as you reflect, remember this: purpose doesn't always come as a lightning bolt. Sometimes it's a whisper, a nudge to take one small step forward. Consider this: Moses didn't receive his calling until he was 80 years old, tending sheep in the wilderness. His life's greatest purpose began in what seemed like a forgotten chapter. What if the chapter you're in right now, the one that feels so challenging, is actually preparing you for your greatest purpose? The second step in finding purpose is to serve. When life feels overwhelming, our instinct is often to retreat inward. But purpose is found in giving. Look around you. Who can you help? What small act of kindness can you offer today? Christ's life was defined by service, even in his most challenging moments. On the cross, he said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." In his pain, he chose love. Now, I want to ask you, how can you choose love in the middle of your battle? What act of service can you offer, even when you feel you have nothing left to give? Purpose isn't something you find, it's something you live. It's in the choices you make every day, the choice to forgive, to trust, to love, and to keep moving forward, even when it's hard. As we close this part, take a moment to consider, what if the fight you're in is the exact thing shaping you into who you were always meant to be? Walking the path of grace, turning challenges into triumphs. When we think about triumph, we often imagine the finish line, the moment of victory, the applause, the relief of knowing we've made it. But here's a deeper truth: triumph isn't just the destination. It's the journey, the transformation that happens along the way. Consider Peter, one of Christ's closest disciples. Peter was bold and brash, but when the moment of testing came, he denied Christ 3 times. Imagine the shame and regret he must have felt. Yet, Christ didn't abandon him. Instead, he restored him, saying, "Feed my sheep." That moment wasn't just about forgiveness, it was about calling. Peter's failure didn't disqualify him. It prepared him. And so it is with you. Your failures, your stumbles, your moments of doubt, they don't define you. They refine you. The third step to finding strength and purpose in life's challenges is to walk in grace. Grace is unearned, undeserved, and yet it is freely given. It's the bridge between where you are and where you're meant to be. Let me ask you, have you allowed yourself to receive grace? Or are you still holding on to the weight of past mistakes, thinking you must earn your way back to worthiness? Christ's words on the cross were not, "It is halfway done, but it is finished." The work of grace is complete. Your part is to accept it and let it transform you. Here's a practical way to embrace grace. Write down 3 things you're grateful for every day. Gratitude is the gateway to grace. When you focus on what you have, rather than what you lack, you begin to see life through a lens of abundance rather than scarcity. Now, Let's talk about triumph. Triumph isn't always about the big victories. Sometimes it's about the small ones, the decision to get out of bed on a hard day, the choice to forgive someone who hurt you, the courage to take one more step forward. Think of David facing Goliath. He didn't have armor or a sword, just a sling, 5 stones, and unshakable faith. His triumph wasn't in the size of his weapon but in the size of his trust. What's your Goliath right now? What's the one thing you fear you cannot overcome? And what if, like David, you already have everything you need to face it? To turn challenges into triumphs, you must first see them for what they are: opportunities for growth, moments to lean into faith, and chapters in a much larger story. And here's the final piece of wisdom: triumph isn't something you achieve alone. It's something you experience in community. Who are your people? Who lifts you up when you're down, reminds you of your worth, and walks with you through the valley? If you don't have those people, seek them out. Join a group, a church, or a community that shares your values and helps you grow. As we come to the end of this journey, I want to leave you with one last thought. Life's challenges may pick you for the fight, but you are never alone in the ring. The strength within you is greater than you realize. The purpose ahead of you is more profound than you can imagine. And every step you take, whether it feels strong or shaky, is leading you closer to the person you were created to be. Thank you for walking this path with me. Remember, the fight isn't against you. It's for you.